I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Simon Mcloughlin, CEO of Uphold. Simon, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Ashton, great to meet you, and thanks for inviting me on.
You're very welcome. Excited to dive into Uphold. I know there's some big announcements to make, and you guys are everywhere and connected into everywhere, so I'm excited to just hear a little bit about the deeper inner workings of Uphold. But first, before we start, I'd love to hear a little bit on yourself, just a bit on your background, how you got to this point as well, and then we'll dive into all the latest crypto details.
Sure. Well, I've been in finance for about 20 years. Came to Bitcoin in 2017, and I came through an interesting route. I literally picked up a book in Union Square in New York, where I was living at the time, and I was having horrible problems getting money from my UK bank account to my US bank account. Something you'd think is so basic, slow, expensive, error prone, you know. And anyway, I read this book about Bitcoin. I was like, I have to go and work in that industry. So I applied to a bunch of companies, and I got into Uphold. Before that, I set up a broker dealer in New York, and prior to that, I was at LexisNexis, where we did a lot of technology for risk and compliance.
Very cool. And I know Uphold is, I believe you guys are in the US right now, but you guys are really branching out everywhere globally. Maybe you can just talk about just Uphold, the scope of where you guys are servicing, and what exactly are the best functions that people are using most in Uphold.
Sure. Well, most people know us because of our retail app, but Uphold is actually a Web3 financial platform. So we help people, companies, institutional investors move from fiat currency into cryptocurrency and across different blockchains. Our architecture is unique. We're set up as a prime broker. We're connected to 30 underlying liquidity venues, including centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges. And the advantage of that model is we're listening for the best pricing in the market. We're offering some of the deepest liquidity because we can sell into all of those venues. We can move large quantities in and out of the market. Going forward, increasingly, we're playing a role as an infrastructure provider to anybody building on blockchain or anybody wanting to participate in Web3 and DeFi. So that will form a more and more important part of our plan.
That's great to hear. And as DeFi continues to grow and exchanges switch up over the cycles, some new ones pop up, and all of a sudden there's huge liquidity there to tap into, but also there's the rise of decentralized exchanges and other self-custodial tools as well. How tapped in are you guys into the ever-evolving market and when new partners come on the block?
Yeah, we monitor it really carefully. And part of our role is we want to expose some of the more important features of DeFi and crypto native features to a mainstream audience. So we're about to launch Vault, for example, that's designed to make self-custody easy and practical for the average user.
Yeah, no, that's a huge announcement that I saw just happened. Maybe you can talk about the importance of custody and what exactly Vault does and how it's helping the users.
Sure. I mean, I would argue that the biggest problem in crypto is that holding assets on chain for the average person is actually really difficult. It's not a practical proposition for the average user. Crypto will never go mainstream until that feature is made a practical and viable proposition. So post FTX, we had a lot of feedback from customers that they wanted more custody options. So today we offer a fully custodial solution in the Uphold app. We offer a full self-custody wallet in the form of Uphold. And we're just about to launch on November the 29th, Uphold Vault. And in simple terms, Uphold Vault basically creates a much more user-friendly form of self-custody. Why? Because number one, it's embedded into the Uphold app itself. It allows you to set up a self-custody wallet within the app, but you don't need the app to move your funds in your vault. It works on a multisig basis, so there are 3 keys. You, the user, hold 2. We only hold 1. And you, the user, to move funds, you only need 2 keys. So you're fully in control of your assets. You can move them without any recourse or dependence on us. If the Uphold app is down, or God forbid, the Uphold business goes away, you're fully in control of your assets. You can move them. It offers key recovery as well. I mean, as you know, one of the horrible features of self-custody is if you lose your private key, you lose your money. That's not great for the average user. So Uphold Vault allows you, if you lose one of your keys, you can apply to Uphold. Or it's actually in the app, it's fully automated. You can create a new key to replace your lost key. And that's done by, not because we hold a copy of your key or anything like that. It's just that we put our key together with your remaining key. That creates a condition that allows a new key to be created. So, for the average user, it's a very practical and sensible way of striking a balance between security and convenience.
Interesting. Yeah, because there's always been a huge contrast between do I store it on the exchange in full custody of a third party, or do I keep it with myself? And both of them have risks. And it's about finding that balance of how can we store it ourselves, but also have that fail-proof part where, if I lose the keys or my house burns down or something, then I do have access to the funds. It's super interesting because also the multi-sig part, in the past, multi-sigs were normally used for companies that had billions of dollars, or because they were complex, but I'm guessing that it's become a lot easier now.
It has. When you think about multi-sig, I mean, it's built into the infrastructure of most of the big blockchains, and it's battle-hardened technology. Bitcoin, it's built into the infrastructure. Ethereum, it's built into the infrastructure. XRP built into the infrastructure. And it's protected tens of billions of dollars of assets on chain. And multi-sig only goes wrong, really, if it's not properly implemented. If it's implemented in a native form and there's proper key separation, it's battle-hardened, proven technology. We considered going the MPC route for Vault, and we decided against it ultimately because it didn't meet our design goals. Our design goals were principally, number one, survivability. So no matter what happens to us as a vendor, you can still move your funds. If you go the MPC route, you need heavy server-side infrastructure. That means if the vendor goes away, are you really going to be able to move your assets? And secondly, MPC is relatively new technology, lots of interesting things in it, but we wanted to go with the battle-proven technology that's proven, that's protected tens of billions of dollars on chain successfully. If you look at, I think on Bitcoin there's a wallet for Binance. There's $9 billion in that wallet, successfully protected through multi-sig technology.
That's great to know. And with this vault function with Uphold, are you able to store your whole portfolio or specific coins? How exactly is that starting out?
So a really important concept, a benefit of Vault is going to be that it's multi-chain. So with one seed phrase, with one set of keys, you're going to be able to control assets on multiple chains through one wallet. As you know, today on different chains, you need different wallets. That's massively inconvenient for people. And so, again, it's about the balance of convenience and security. We're going to start with XRP. So you'll be able to store your XRP through Vault from day one. Early next year, we're going to add Bitcoin, then Ethereum. So it'll build up into one wallet that serves multiple chains.
Very interesting. And when you have multiple wallets, each of them normally in the past would have to have a seed phrase. And then all of a sudden you're managing, now that there's so many blockchains, it's like you're managing 10 different private keys. And now there's 10 chances to lose your wallet instead of one.
Life gets very, very complicated if you try to self-custody across multiple chains today. And Vault just makes it very easy, very convenient, very secure.
Yeah. And that's very interesting that XRP is coming in as the first currency. I've seen, XRP and Uphold before. What's the rationale behind, before Bitcoin even, XRP holders are the first ones to get to use this new technology?
Well, as you know, we have a very close relationship with the XRP community. We were the only trading venue that continued to support it over the past few years during the SEC action. So we've got a very large community who are loyal to Uphold, and we want to basically go where our users are. So initially, We want to serve the XRP community. More broadly, I think we've always had a predilection for blockchains that have a very clear use case. And XRP and the Ripple and XRPL, very clear use case, cross-border payments. And we've built around that with other projects that have a very clear use case, solving problems typically in traditional finance. You think of Casper with a K. That's another payment-related non-cyclical DAG, which is a super interesting project. We brought that to market before anybody else. XTC, blockchain dedicated to solving the problems of trade finance. So we like enterprise-related projects run by serious people with very clear use cases. And XRP represents a large number of our users, so that's a logical place for us to start.
Mm-hmm. That's great to know. I'll have to load up some more XRP before Bitcoin even to try out the vault. And now when new users come to the platform, is that what they're guided to, or are they recommended to use the vault assisted self-custody, or is it just like an option and they get to choose? How do you explain, the difference? Some people come into the industry and they're like, well, I don't really know whether I should be holding it myself or the exchange or hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, we don't tell people how they should hold their funds. We regard it as it's up to the user. You can choose the fully custodial method through the Uphold app. You can choose assisted self-custody, which is Vault, or you can choose the full self-custody option where you've just got one key on Uphold. If you look at our fully custodial model, it's kind of unique in itself because of the transparency that we offer. We're the only platform that publishes our assets and liabilities every 30 seconds on a public website. So if you're an Uphold customer, you know that your funds are with us. You know that they're available to withdraw. And we've been publishing our assets and liabilities every 30 seconds since 2014. So, way before all of the drama with FTX, our mantra has been, you can trust us don't trust us because we tell you can trust us because we show you that your assets are there. And we're audited regularly by RSM Robson Rhodes, a major audit firm. And this commitment to transparency in the main Uphold app has seen over the past 18 months, every single month except for 2, we've seen strong net inflows. So, the fully custodial option is unusually transparent, highly secure. We're the only major platform that's never been hacked. But a lot of people want to use self-custody. And so we've invented Uphold Vault for if you want a convenient, easy way to self-custody your funds. You have the benefits of your funds are super adjacent to the Uphold platform, so you can pull them back and trade in one click. You don't need the Uphold app to move your funds. You're fully in control of your funds in the Uphold Vault. And, there's survivability. No matter what happens, you're in control because you've got 2 keys. And if you lose one of them, we can help you generate a new key, which I think we surveyed our customers, I think it was in March. And then the number one request by far was introduce more custody options. And as a result, this year we've introduced self-custody and we've about to introduce assisted self-custody.
That's great to know. And about the proof of reserves that you mentioned as well with 2014, that's incredible. I feel like, over the years, there have been mishaps with exchanges and some of them aren't run as efficiently as you and your team. And now that's become a thing, but I feel like that should have been the standard from the beginning hey, we're not, as an exchange, they're not hiding, everything should be on the blockchain. You should be transparent. And that, I guess that's why the people ask for self-custody, because sometimes they can't trust if there isn't transparency. They don't know if their funds are being lent out or being spent on, parties and whatnot. So it's great to hear about the transparency with Uphold. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We've always had a golden rule. We don't loan out customer money. It's not rehypothecated. It's held 1-to-1, and we publish it, as I say, every 30 seconds on a public website way back. So it was very far-sighted. Uphold actually was started in 2014, and it was in response to the 2008 to 2010 financial crash, where banks were operating as black boxes and you didn't know what risks were being taken with your money. So, the founders of the company were very far-sighted in, we want a completely transparent model where people can see that their funds are in custody and available for withdrawal at all times. And over the past, it's interesting, that message, pre-FTX, that message didn't resonate as much as we would like. Post-FTX, it's become hugely powerful, which is why we've had positive monthly inflows for almost 18 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of inflows, I'm curious, because normally exchanges, they have a tap on the market a little bit about seeing new customers coming in, returning customers, trading volumes increasing. It seems like in Q3 and Q4 of 2023, there seems to be a bit of a resurgence of interest from retail as well. I'm curious on, if the numbers have reflected that on Uphold, and, are you optimistic for new entrants coming into the industry, moving into 2024 with the other Bitcoin and related cryptocurrency news sort of getting big?
Yeah, we're seeing significant inflows. It's interesting. The market, daily trading volumes in the market July to September were pretty poor. They went from 65 billion a day down to 25 billion. We actually didn't feel that impact because, this transparency benefit was definitely attracting new customers. Over the past 6 weeks, I think there's been a whole bunch of stuff that's come together. Speculation about approval of the ETFs, obviously, better than expected inflation news. I was in Dubai last week and met the regulators out there. So many regulators now are waking up to the fact that they've got to draw up proper rules of the road for digital assets. That's now becoming a reality in the UK and in Europe. And of course, that's encouraging institutional investors to adopt in the confidence that, okay, this technology is not going away. And, rules of the road are going to increase adoption, not just by institutional investors, but also by enterprises. But I think you've got an interesting thing going on at the moment with institutional investors definitely moving into the market in quite significant volume at a time where, in the case of Bitcoin, I think supply is sort of limited. So you're getting a nice. It feels like a crypto spring at the moment. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, no, it seems really great, and combining the Bitcoin halving event in March, April of 2024 with potentially the ETF approval, which should open the doors to more people in the traditional markets and institutional investors. I feel like that side of Uphold's probably going to have a surge, and the smart ones are probably thinking ahead, and that's why we're seeing the surge sort of right now. I'm curious if it will continue until then, or the waves. But it sounds like it's been positively affecting you and your team's business.
It definitely has. This week, Uphold we list 280 tokens, and we put a vast amount of effort into identifying blockchains and tokens that have a clear real-world use case, are serious projects run by serious people. We look at things like tokenomics and a whole bunch of stuff to sort of assess their potential for value creation. Mm-hmm. And we've had because we're connected to so many different exchanges, it means, number one, we can offer a very broad range of tokens. Number two, we can introduce people to potentially important new tokens very early, because we also source in DeFi. Mm-hmm. So, as I mentioned earlier, we brought, we've been the first major CeFi venue to cover things like XDC, the trade finance project, Casper with a K, which is a very promising payments protocol, Hedera Hashgraph, another enterprise-related token. The altcoin market has got some really interesting stuff going on. Mm-hmm. This week, as you probably saw, Casper with a K, I think it's up by, I can't remember, 30 or 50%. But institutional investors are waking up to the fact there's a genuinely, potentially revolutionary piece of technology there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's great that Uphold is enabling people to get into things that, sometimes retail investors, they had to wait until normally some of the other exchanges like Binance or Coinbase, they wouldn't list they wouldn't list things that could very well be the next Microsoft or Amazon, but it's already sort of very saturated in the market by the time it gets listed there, and it's a balance between making sure something is legitimate and making it available as early as possible, for projects that are legitimate for investors to speculate or to invest in to something like this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Simon, I really appreciate you coming on, and congratulations on the launch of the Vault. I feel like that's a very important topic for people to understand and discuss about self-custody or assisted self-custody in this case. And I feel like that's the perfect balance of, hey, we need the exchange, but we also want to trust ourselves with the keys. And if we can use that help, then I think it's a great combination. So thank you for bringing that into the industry.
It's a pleasure. No, great, Ashton. I hope you'll join our test group and let us know what you think.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. I will leave the links to the information on the Vault and just Uphold in general in the show notes below. I appreciate you coming on. All the best with everything moving forward in Uphold and in the industry. And let's follow up in the near future.
Super. Thanks a lot, Ashton. Take care.